Sister Kashia. Thank you. Peace, everybody. Welcome to Movie Standings with me, Brother Lowe. And today we are talking about Shogun Assassin, or the longer version, Lone Wolf and Cub, baby cart at the River Styx, right? And I like this. I really like this movie. Well, I like the whole series. For those that don't know, Shogun Assassin is it's more than one movie, and it's also a TV show. It's a manga. For those that don't know what a manga is, it's a Japanese comic book, right? So, like I say, it's really good and interesting. It was made in 1971, right? But it shows a lot. And one thing I like about this is it shows father and son teachings and things of that nature, survivability and family dynamics, clan dynamics. With that, peace, chief. I see you. But it shows that, and it shows a lot. Now, in order to really connect the dots with this, you really have to watch like Shogun Assassin, and Lone Wolf and Cub. They're both the same, but one's the westernized version, one's the Eastern Japanese version. In order for you to understand, it even did, that's what I'm here for. So you don't have to worry about that. I know some people think they need all these subscriptions and whatnot just to watch, these movies to get an understanding or whatever. But for me, that's my job. That's what I'm here for. Even if you don't have the subscription, it reminds me of what my grandmother used to say about me is, she never had to go to a movie theater because I was there and I could tell the whole movie. It'll feel like I'm, in a movie theater with her. But so with this one, Shogun Assassin, what you have to understand is sort of it has a little bit of historical aspects to it, because the shogunate that they're talking about is the Tokugawa shogunate, and the Tokugawa shogunate comes right after the Sengoku period, or the Shingoku Jidai, or the Warring States period of Japan that lasted from basically 1467 to 1615. And then you have this period where, one of the three founders or unifiers of Japan, the last one, Ieyasu Tokugawa, founded the Tokugawa shogunate, which lasted from 1603 to 1867. So lasted a long time. And then after that, you have Meiji Restoration, which is, Meiji era, which is talking about the emperor, right? But here we are at this period. And like I say, it was founded by Ieyasu Tokugawa. Now, that wasn't his name at first, or the name of his clan. His clan name was the Matsudaira, and they came from the east coast of Japan, in a province called Mikawa, and they were a minor clan, and they served more dominant clans at the time, and then they switched to one of the unifiers, the Oda clan, which was headed by Oda Nobunaga, and then after that they served the second unifier, which is Hideyoshi Hitomi, and then after that you have Ieyasu Tokugawa, right? So this is during the Tokugawa period, and you have the main character Ogami Ito. Now, when I say Oga, I mean Ito. I'm saying his last name first and his and his first name last, which is Ito, right? Because in Eastern basically thinking, the family name comes first, or the family comes first before the individual, right? So that's something you have to understand as well. And it's about, Ogami Ito and Ogami Daigoro, which is his son, Daigoro, right? And so, at the start, you see them on the road, and a lot of this movie is just based on being on the road, which, it's cool, right? But, they're met with assassins and things of that nature. And, Ogami Ito, he just, lays low the assassins. Now, in Shogun Assassin, you have, Daigoro talking, narrating. He's like, when I was little, my father was the, finest samurai in the land. He was the shogun's decapitator, and he did, he cut the heads off of 187 lords or whatever. And he wasn't afraid of the shogun, but the shogun was afraid of him. And that was the problem. I like that narration, right? But what you have to understand is that it wasn't the shogun that was afraid of Ogami Ito. It was a powerful clan called the Yagyo, right? It wasn't the shogun. It wasn't the Tokugawa. And the reason why he had an issue, or he had a problem with the Yagyo clan, was because he was the shogun's executioner. And that was a very powerful position, right? Which, like I say, you don't get this in the movies, but but in the manga and the TV show, they go into it a little bit deeper. See, the Yagyo, they were very powerful. They were a powerful clan. And what they wanted to do, their plan was, to basically control the spies of the shogunate, the assassins, and basically to fortify their powers, to have the ranking of the shogun's executioner, to solidify their family's power. Well, Ogami took that position, and he took it, basically in a fighting tournament, which he won. And that position is so prestigious because he wore the coat of arms of the Tokugawa shogunate. In Japanese, it's called mon. Mon is basically the coat of arms for clans and houses. It's very simplistic, which is probably the beauty of Japanese coat of arms. They're very simplistic, where you have in Western society, it's very, a lot of regalia. You got dragons and tigers and whatever, unicorns. And, if you look at different, monarchies in Europe, they have, elaborate, coat of arms and shields and things of that nature. Whereas, in Eastern society and Eastern culture, their coat of arms is very simplistic and it's not over the top. But he wore the mon, not of his family, but of the Tokugawa, which means that he spoke, or he had the authority and the backing of the Tokugawa clan behind him, and basically saying, he's basically an honored Tokugawa based on his status and the position that he held, right? Peace, Max. And so that was a problem. And because that was a problem, the Yagyo clan put a hit on him and his family. And they don't kill Daigoro and Ito. They kill his wife, Ozami. Now, you see that in Shogun Assassin, but you don't see that in Lone Wolf and Cub. And it causes a problem as well. His mother dies and things of that nature. And so you have a scene which is a very famous scene. It's used in like Wu-Tang clans, I think, Liquid Swords, right? Where Itu says, he has a ball and he has a sword in front of his son, and he says, choose the ball, choose the sword and you join me. Choose the ball and you join your mother in death. You may not understand now, but you must choose. What you have to also understand in that scene is that he's giving his son the power to decide both of their destinies. It doesn't go in there into the movie, but it goes in that, in the manga and the TV show. What he's saying is, if you choose the ball, then we're both going to commit seppuku, right? Or ritual suicide, right? But if you choose the sword, then we're going to walk this path of vengeance, and 1-year-old Daigoro, he chooses the sword, basically holding the fate of him and his dad, together, right? And so they go on the path of vengeance. And so the Yagyo, they basically come up with a scheme, right? On how to get, Ito and Daigoro. It doesn't go into the movie, but what they do is they claim that he had basically a death tablet with the Shogun's name on it, and because of that, he was supposed to be stripped of his rank and commit ritual suicide with him and the son. But that was a lie, and they fight it out, and he wins against those that were in the room, or the warriors that were in their room, the samurai. And then the head of the Yagyo clan, Lord Retsudo, right? He says, okay, well, why don't you beat my sons? One was Corando, and one was what was the other one name? I forget the other one name. It's hard to pronounce. But one challenges him, and Ogami beats him, in single combat. But then Lord Retsudo says, oh, you may be able to go free, but your son will be honey. you didn't gain immunity from us just off willy-nilly. We'll come after your son, right? And so you have basically father and son walking the path of vengeance, against one powerful clan. And you see Itu and Daigoro, they are they do certain things, like they share meals together. He shares meals with his dad, and you see, what I like about the Eastern version is the camera placing. As they're around the campfire, they're constantly being watched by a ninja, and whatnot. But you don't know what they did, but you have to watch the camera. And as the camera gets closer, that's basically ninjas, walking up, getting closer. But then you see, Itu goes for a sword, and then they back up. Like, we're gonna get him, but then it's like, we here. Back on up. So they're constantly being watched and constantly being surveillance, for any wrong move, so they can be killed, right? But then you see them stay at an inn, right? And that's interesting because the manager or the clerk, he thinks that they don't have no money, and then you got Itu, he goes into the baby cart, and he brings out 500 real. A reel is basically a gold, like a thin sheet of it's an overlight thin sheet of gold, and that's a reel, and a lot of it can equal 100 reel and things of that nature, right? But that's what it is. That's part of the currency, in Japan. And so he sees that and he's like, oh, oh, well, welcome, young master. Let me wash your feet. And then you see Daigoro splash water on, like, get away from me. That was cool, But I also like that scene because you see, father and son taking a bath, and as they're doing that, which is taboo, you won't see, father and son take a bath with in the westernized thinking something bad is going to happen, but they're taking the bath together, and as they're taking the bath, Daigoro is counting from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, right? And he misses one, and Ito's like, you missed one, Daigoro. And then he goes back to counting, from 1 to 2, 3, 4, and then he's 3, 4, 5, And I thought that was cool, but you also, like I say, surveillance, ninjas, And so now you have the meeting with Ozumu, right? Peace, Sister Minera, and peace, Sister Deirdre. And you have Ozumu, who's a leader of the Kurokawa clan of ninjas, right? And he meets Sayaka, the female head of the sword mistresses of the Akashi Yagyo. Like I said, same clan, but in different towns, And for them, their domain was Akashi, right? So they were the Akashi Yagyo, but same family, right? So let that be, you may have, like for us, we may be in different regions, and you may have, family in New York, that'd be the New York, let's just say the New York Anu, right? And then you got those, probably in the Carolinas, the Charlotte, I knew, but just saying where they're from, but they're all part of the same clan. That's why I like the clan dynamics, and they all do something different. But for the Yagyu, it seemed like they were about espionage and spying and ninjas and whatnot. And so, they come to Sayaka, right? And they give her an order from the head of their clan, which is Lord Retsudo. And they say, hey, you gotta, kill, Ogami Itu. And he's already killed 2 of, Lord Retsudo's sons, but the Yagyo and Edo, which was the capital of Japan at that time, and where the Tokugawa actually, that was their seat of power. They can't touch them. So we got to use, fam from, outside to, deal with them. Different net, same clan. Exactly, Matt. Exactly, Matt. Different net, same clan, same fam. We're on the same side. And so, they come to Sayaka, right? And they give her information about them. And she's like, we'll do it. But, Ozumu, he's like, don't be cautious, be cautious, don't be careless, because he's dangerous. And so Sayaka takes offense, and she's like, outside, she has her female members open the doors, right? And they see, the Kurokawa ninja, they're outside. And she says, bring your strongest man out here, before us. And he brings Junai, and she tells him, try to escape from the room, and he's like, what? Try to escape from the room, and so he faces off with the female ninja, and they made light work of him. Mind you, these women are, when you see them walk, they're in kimonos and whatnot, and kimonos are sort of restrictive, it seems like, but as Junai is flipping and going up on the banisters and things of that nature, he can't escape them, and he ends up getting chopped like into 7 pieces and killed. You know what I'm saying? And that makes Sayaka laughs like, this is your this is your ninja. Look how we swallowed him. That's his Shogun assassin. But anyway, the way that you like as Ogami, Itu, and Daigoro, they are on this path. The way you would contact them if you want their services, right? You put up a demon's weight talisman, at a temple or a shrine, and they would contact, and then if Ito would see it, he would, make a communication using cairns, which is a military symbol or tactics to communicate on the ground, just putting rocks together, in certain formations, right? And so he's about to take a job, and it's from Ichirobe Hirano, who is basically the Chamberlain of the Awa domain, right? And he meets with, Ito, and first he asks for proof on, are you the real lone wolf? And so the ninja that was outside, Senbadi Yagyo, he just throws, one of his katana and kills the ninja, that they didn't even know were there, and then he's like, could you hand that back to me? He asked one of the basically samurai that's accompanying Hirano, can you hand that back to me? He's like, yeah, sure. And he gives it back, but then we get into the business of what's going down. Now in Shogun Assassin, it's said that he's supposed to be putting out a hit on basically the brother of the Shogun, but mind you, it's not the Tokugawa that he has a problem with. It's the Yagyo. So in the Eastern version, it makes them more clearer on what's happening, so they get down to it, right? And Hirano explains, well, my domain, we have an income of 257,000 koku. What they mean by koku is basically the standard measurement, and it's in rice. At this point in time, people got like samurai and people that worked got paid in rice. They got paid in basically a natural resource, which is rice. Okay, and so but they got more income because they were also in the indigo trade, right? And they had their own basically skill or secret on producing this indigo, which gave them more money. And that was a problem because the shogunate, the government is losing money, they're hemorrhaging money, and so they had their eyes on their indigo trade, and so they sent basically people to destabilize that by inciting riots and things of that nature. And Hirano and his people, they didn't fall for it, so they end up killing the spies and killing those that incited the riot. But one of the head foreman for the indigo trade, he got scared and he left, and so now he's on his way to meet with basically the shogunate. And that can't happen, because if that happens, then they're going to ban basically the indigo trade in Awa, and that's going to destabilize how they make money. You see how the economics work in this, right? Basically we need you to put out on a hit, to save us from giving up our money. This is basically currency exchanges. And I like this because of the simple fact that it was the government that used basically destabilizing operations, because you still see that even today, it's been going on. An example would be the overthrow of Mossadegh in Iran. What Arbins in Guatemala. you know, oh, Lumumba, Patrice Lumumba. Yeah. That's another, and that's not even the native government doing that. That's outside governments doing that. Maybe your own government doing that. You never know. But yeah, they destabilize these other places, these other states, to get what they want. It could be economic resources, or maybe they want to put a base there, a military base, things of that nature. They destabilize things to work in their favor, and you see that in this movie, which is you don't get that hint in a lot of movies that governments really do these things. They play these black operations, what I'm saying, and things of that nature, right? But Itu takes the job, right? And he has to kill these three brothers. They call the Hirari brothers, right? And because they're going to be basically escorting the foreman, which is Chuzaimon Makuya, right? And but they have to get him before, basically they got to get on the ship, and they have to get him sometime before he gets to basically Edo, right? that's the mission. And he says, 500 Rio, and they give him to it, what I'm talking about. And so they get to Akashi, they don't, basically the domain of Akashi, right? And then they're met by, these female ninjas, on the road. This has always been one of my favorite scenes, when they're on the road. It's like you're on the path, and then you're met with distraction and people that's trying to, deter you from the path, right? And you have this, and you see these female ninjas, like at the start, you see the female ninja wear these loud colors, but it's meant to basically distort the vision so they can, kill, Itu, which was very subtle, but cool, right? But, Itu just lays waste to him. And then, they keep on going to the road, right? It's just a cool scene, and they meet like these female priests, and they act like, oh, look at the little baby. And they just bring out they short swords, not everything's a katana, you got your katanas, you got your nodachis, and you got your tantos, but they bring out, their short swords, and, once again, Itu just bow, and he sheathes a sword, with ease, right? And then he's met with these women that are washing radishes, and they're throwing radishes at him, but they got blaze in them, and then you see, the baby cart, that he has is basically a destruction for killing. You have different things, coming out. You got blaze coming out of this place. Even Daigoro knows, he hits the blade and kills one, In Shogun Assassin, that same scene is done, but you have Daigoro saying, talking about, how his father wanted him to pray for the souls, those that's passed, but he was like, if I don't know how many, that I need to pray for, how do I know how many prayers to say? What I'm saying? So I keep count, I used to always like how he said, I keep count, how he keeps counting, and you see in the westernized version how many that he has to keep count, and prayers he has to say for all of those that have failed basically along the path, right? The path of vengeance, and so you see also you see Itu face Sayaka. First she introduces herself, and then they start fighting. There's a certain respect there, right? But basically, she fails, and then the Kurakawa step in, right? And they fail, and because they failed, Ozum was like, man, we don't have many soldiers left. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna kidnap Daigoro. And Sayaka was like, that's cheap. We don't do that. And they like, hey, we do what we got to. Remember what the Lord said, Lord Wrestle say anyway, by any means necessary, you gotta get them. So they go along with it, right? But Ito was wounded. And you see them stop at a shack, and his father's feverish and things of that nature. And this kid, like I say, smart kid, he goes to the river and whatever, and he gets water for his father. But you see the trial and error in the scene. He scoops up the water and then he tries to run back, but there's no more water in there. So he's like, and keep on trying. And then he's like, that's not going to work. So what? He drinks the water, and then he runs back to his father, and he basically feeds the water from his own lips, from his own mouth, which works, And then you see him feed his father by basically he sees there's a Buddhist statue, right? And there's a food offering there. So this kid, like I say, smart kid, in order to basically pacify that statue, he sees that it's windy, right? He knows that it's windy. So what does he do? He gives his vest, his warm vest to the statue, as, basically a trade or whatever for taking the food, and then, says a prayer, and then he goes off with the food. Which, cool, he's learning on the way, like I say, trial and error. That's how guys learn, but he also has taken the path of, of vengeance, which one thing about Daigoro, which if you watch, or read the manga, grown people notice about him, as they go on this path is, one thing is, they try to scare him with, throwing a sword at him or acting like they're going to kill him. And he just looks at him like, he's not scared. He got eyes, he got eyes like he ain't scared of death. And they like, this little kid, he ain't scared of death, And that's an amazing thing, because he's taught at a young age to not fear death or not fear to be injured and things of that nature by his dad, And so, you have that, and then you see, that, like I said, we learn about trial and error. And so to kidnap Daigoro, what the Kurokawa do is, they play drums, and Daigoro's still a kid, so he goes outside, curious little kid, see basically where the drums are coming from, and they grab him, and so Ito wakes up from being wounded and whatnot, feverish, and he sees a ninja, that basically he follows and find out, his son's been kidnapped. And so they like, hey, drop your sword and whatnot, or we gonna dump your kid in the well. And he's like, well, me and my son have already made, a path to follow the 6 realms and the 4 lives, Now that's a Buddhist thing, right? But the 6 realms is the realm of gods, demigods, humans, animals, ghosts, and hell, right? The 4 lives I couldn't find out. The only thing I know that represents 4 is like the 4 noble truths in Buddhism, right? But yeah, and so he lays, he kills the Kurokawa. He first tells his son, Daigoro, get ready, because your mother's waiting on you. So what does Daigoro do? Like I said, smart kid. What he does is he takes off his straw sandal, and as the sandal falls, down in the well, his father is listening, and he's basically timing how long he has before he drops down into the well. So when he goes to kill everybody, he stops the rope, right? And then he raises it up, and then he realizes his son's fine. Now, while he's doing that, he's eyeing Sayaka because she's not moving, but he raises up slowly, still has his eyes, on the enemy, right? And then he sees his son, and it's like, Dad, I'm okay. you know, that's like I say, cool scene, right? But they get on the ship, and Sayako follows them on the ship as well. And then they see the Hidari brothers and whatnot, but they also realize that our domain not only hired Lone Wolf and Cub, but they also hired other assassins, other thugs or whatever, to deal with the Hidari brothers. Well, a gang of them are on the ship. They fail, but mind you, the Hidari brothers sort of remind me of the male version of the Weird Sisters, what I'm saying, or the Weirden Sisters, but because there's three of them, and basically in a boat scene, you don't see them talk at once. You got the older brother says something, the middle brother says something, the young brother says something. So it reminds you of that three, like that three male, warlocks, in a sense, not witches, but warlocks, pretty much. And as they're in the ship, they mess with Itu, right? And they throw a sword, basically throw a sword at him. And he's like, "Excuse me, can you hand me my little dagger?" And Itu is basically unfazed by it. Takes it, throws it back, and throws it back right in the slot of the scabbard of the katana, right? I'm like, But also, like I say, the hits don't stop coming. There's another guy that's on the ship that's supposed to burn the ship, right, to kill the Hidari brothers, even though Lone Wolf and Cub are on the ship, But what they do is they basically set Ito and Daigoro based on the quest to get them. They say, "Look, we're going to be here, and this is the route that we're traveling, right? But if you can make it out of this, what I'm saying, we'll see you along the way. But it ain't gonna be easy for you because we're gonna be waiting for you." They're basically on a quest. They're basically always constantly on quest. Throughout this series. Getting into adventures and things of that nature and learning. As they go along. And so the ship sets on fire, everybody gets off, and Itu, like I say, the ship, the baby car is a dang on, monstrosity of mechanizations and things of that nature. He takes, the handles and parts of the handles or the lining of the handles and fashion it into a pole and pole boats off the ship. Mind you, there's one thing you probably don't know on the baby cart. It's actually got guns inside. It actually got a series of guns in the undercarriage. You don't see in the movies, but you see it in the TV show. That thing is a monster. It got a bunch of weapons that you don't know, right? But yeah. And so, after he pulled Voss off the ship, and they're swimming to shore, you got Sayaka in the water, female in the water, trying to kill him, in the water, but he ends up saving her, and, they come together for warmth, for body heat, but all of a sudden, you see Sayaka catching feels. She's literally catching feels for, Itu, right? It's interesting, that's all it took. But after that, you see her leave, and whatnot. And because she basically failed in her mission. and now she's wavering, you know. And so now you have the Hidari brothers, and they got, the war that they're supposed to protect, Chuzaima. And they're in the desert, And now that there's another hit, from people in the desert sent by the Awa domain. And the brothers, they know that they're there. They just pick them off, one by one, you know. And so they get to a sand dune and they see Daigoro. And Daigoro just points in the direction of where his father is, and he's there waiting on him. And so he faces all three of them, and he kills all of them one by one, but he leaves the oldest brother for last. And then he slices the neck and he's like, man, that sound, I wanted to kill somebody with that sound. Who knew that it would be me that, to have that sound squirt from my own neck? And then he ends up dying, right? And whatnot. And so, after that, he kills, Chuzaima, but he introduces himself first as his assassin. And he kills him, right? Job done, job finished, right? And as they're walking off into the sunset, walking on the path to vengeance, right? That's the road that they're taking. And who's behind them? Sayaka. Now you see that in, Lone Wolf and Cub. You don't see that in Shogun Assassin. After that desert scene, the movie pretty much ends. You have Daigoro, giving a monologue, and then, that's the end of the movie. But in Lone Wolf and Cub, it's not the end of the movie. You see them on the path and she's following them right behind and she still got her, katana. But when he raises his sword again, like, what's up? It falls because she's still wavering. She's in love with the dude or whatever, like I say, catching feelings, right? And she backs off and they continue to travel the road together. What I'm saying? Like I say, man, this is one of my favorite films. What I'm saying? Just because there's just so much to take from it, from family dynamics to, being on this path, a path that basically you chose and not wavering from it, and things of that nature. And, it's well done. But like I say, you have to pay attention because you have to watch it, more than one version. You have to watch the Western version. Then you got to watch, the Eastern version just to put it all together. It helps, because there's things that you don't see in one, things that you don't see in the other. And then you're like, oh, so that's basically what really happened, So it's a fun and interesting series and whatnot. And it's cool. It's a real cool film, but yeah, that's Lone Wolf and Cub. You know what I'm saying? More than one. Like I say, more than one, they get into more than one adventure, I can see where Kill Bill drew inspiration from. Yeah, Kill Bill did, but at the same time, Kill Bill pretty much drew inspiration, not from Lone Wolf and Cub per se, but from you could say Zatoichi and Yojimbo. They're made by the same director. They're both old Japanese films, and both with lone swordsmen, basically, and they go into town and kill, the evildoers and whatever, and bring peace to the town and whatnot, and things of that nature. So that's pretty much where they took it from, if you pay attention. And then you got, not right now, you got You got dang on what's the other Sonny Chiba. Like Sonny Chiba's actually in Kill Bill and whatnot. And he, played in a lot of things. And he's in the movie. And he's, Sonny Chiba was cool. Big buff dude, he was cool back in them days. Um, yeah, yeah, Yojimbo and Zatoichi. Zatoichi is a series of movies. It's about a blind swordsman. It's more than one. Like about maybe eight movies. Um, yes, about like 8 movies. Yojimbo is one. You can check out that one. Look, I can come with some recommendations. You can check out those two. You can check out Seven Samurai. Seven Samurai. It's a black and white film, but it's good. Seven Samurai is good. Um, what else? Lady Snowblood. They also took that from Kill Bill. Actually, the song that plays as Uma Thurman and Lucy Liu are fighting. That song comes from Lady Snowblood, So they took that and put it in Kill Bill, what I'm saying? And what's another one? Classic 47 Ronin, that one and whatnot. So yeah. So it's a bunch of movies, but they're good movies, very, very good cinematic movies, right? So there we go. So next strong, we are getting into a sci-fi. We get into some sci-fi, and we get into Prometheus. And that's going to be very interesting, very good. We gonna really experience a lot. This is gonna make me brush up on my Greek, my Greek mythology, and things of that nature. So yeah, we're gonna get into that. So yes, join us next time next strong when we talk about Prometheus and being in the stars and spaceships. And so that's what we gonna do next strong. I can't wait. It's gonna be a little bit of a challenge. I'm challenging myself when it comes to Prometheus. So that's what we on next strong. So look forward to seeing you all at our new global, our new life global, tomorrow when we have Shemanu, and we gonna get into some more of that good stuff about courting and things of that nature, which is cool, So I can't wait. I know you can't wait, because it's very interesting because they ask questions, questions that should be answered, if you're courting someone. So that's what we gonna get into. I can't wait to see that. So give thanks to everybody for showing up and showing out. Appreciate you. And like I say, we're gonna get into some Prometheus next week, and then we're going to go into some more things, as we come up on the next month or the coming. Oh well, we're already here. We're already in July. So we're already here. So yeah. So give thanks everyone. Bebaka Shah Max. So give thanks, and I will see you next strong. Peace.